What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Planet Zoo. As always, if you guys are enjoying this series, make sure you leave a like on the video. It'd be greatly appreciated. In the last episode, we started working on this smaller, like, reptile slash amphibian type exhibit. It's an indoor facility here. AC, the whole nine. You know, in Florida, definitely important. You want a little bit of AC from time to time. So we've sort of gotten started on that. I think I want to expand upon a couple of ideas in there here today. But of course, we have like a ton of different staff facilities that we still need to add in here. We don't even have a vet. You guys, we have animals and don't have a vet. So I'm trying to change that here today. And then just over here, you'll notice that I started kind of like roughly laying out the main path structure for this zoo. So at the end, sort of where the asphalt begins and the whatever this is called stops, these little areas will be our first exhibits. We're not going to work on our first exhibit here today. We've still got a lot of like infrastructure stuff that needs to be in place before we can get her rolling. Boardwalk, that's the word I was looking for earlier. My idea here with this boardwalk is I want to elevate it just above the ground slightly and have sort of like a swampy marsh, basically a wetland in a nutshell. I want to have that kind of underneath this boardwalk. All right, it's going to be a little weird. I'm not really sure if it's going to work out the way I'm hoping, but I definitely want to experiment with that a little bit today as well. And then this whole like negative impact on guests thing, dude, I completely forgot about this. So anytime a guest walks past the red zone here, granted, the only reason they're coming out here right now is because this is the only path we have leading to our only exhibit. So eventually, I don't think the guests will be walking around out here, but I think we should probably figure out some other way or some other area to add in those facilities that we're missing still, like the vet and the quarantine, stuff like that. But first, what I want to do first mostly is add a little bit of extra decor inside of this place. It's just real barren. You know, we need benches, we need donation bins, we need stuff that's going to teach the guests about the animals. We've got nothing in here, no speakers, nothing like that. So I've created kind of a three-dimensional facade that we're going to be placing around these exhibits here. So first, we need to enter into group edit mode, and I've already got the facade created. So all we have to do is copy that and drag it into position. A lot of finagling was done to try to get this to happen, you guys. It was kind of a miserable process. I essentially had to take our existing walls and figure out a way that I could make them a lot shorter. Basically make them look similar, but have completely different pieces. So I think what we have done here actually looks pretty dang solid. And then another thing that I really wanted to focus on with this is the height of them. So I placed down a couple of test pieces, got the height for this like wood countertop bit that we have going around, got the height for that based off of the kids that we have coming in here. Right? It's important. You want your shortest guests to still be able to see inside these facilities. And there actually aren't any kids in here right now, which is kind of weird. There were like a whole bunch of them earlier. Oh, here, we've got a small group of a family right there. Let's just pick them up for a moment. They're not going to care. They're not going to mind whatsoever. And drop them down over here just so I can show you guys the height. So it's about like chest high, which I think worked out pretty well. But look at that, dude. Now all we have to do is go through and get rid of these mud column pillar things, because those are real ugly. And there we go. Check that out. So obviously I used the siding from the outside. I brought that onto the inside. I wanted to use this rustic stone that we used on the wall for like the lower half of it, but it just wasn't going to look good. No matter what I did, it was like too thick. It always kept peeking through the glass. So I'm super happy with the way that this all turned out. But now we're going to transition over to facilities so we can start to place in a couple of these bins and benches and things. And actually, I want to see what I was using out here. I think this is like the New World stuff. That could work. Yeah, you know what? That will work. And then we've got the trash bins as well. Both recycling and normal trash. So let's go ahead and copy a few of these over. The only real downside to having the paths structured the way that we do is the benches kind of like align with the paths, right? You guys know that. But since we don't actually have a path edge around the building, I just kind of have to freely place these down and hope they look good. So all I'm going to do is place a bench in front of each and every window in here, all these big windows, and then we'll do a similar thing with those trash bins. All right, now that we've got a couple of places for the guests to actually take a load off, you know, have a seat, and a couple of bins for them to throw their non-existent trash in, yet, as soon as we open up, like, all the food chain places and drink shops and stuff, then they'll probably have some stuff to throw away. So we're just trying to get everything in place before that all happens, but I am really, really liking the look of this. So what we need next is in facilities, I want to get these exhibit education boards and place these in front of each sort of separate exhibit here. And just to make this a little bit easier on us when we're trying to copy and paste these things around, I'm going to place down a mud column. We're then going to select that little exhibit board and just slide these around to the other exhibits. Pretty easy. Pretty easy. We'll do this front and back, I think, too. That'll look pretty nice. But I have it pressed up in there just until it starts to peek through the glass, kind of like what we did with the wood there. It's looking nice. It's looking like it should be integrated like that. It looks normal, which is what we're going for. God, I'm already just so tired this morning, and the music, the soundtrack to this game, I adore the soundtrack, but it does make me a little bit more sleepy, so we're just, we're trying to tune it out at this point. But all right. Now that we've got those boards in place, what we need to do is go around and make sure that they're selected on the proper animal that they're in front of. So the middle one here, that's going to be the Danube crested newt. So we've got those set up. And then over here, this was the turtle, the diamondback terrapin, which somebody did inform me. I guess the best way to differentiate a tortoise from a turtle is turtles go in water, or I guess live in water. Something like that. And then tortoises are obviously more of a land amphibian? Reptile? I don't know. You guys, I have no idea. But over here we have the boa constrictor going in. So that's looking pretty nice. I like the little tiny screens there. Again, it just kind of looks like it's meant to be there. Can we... Oh, we can change the color of it. Interesting, interesting, interesting. That's the light color, so I don't want to mess with that at all. Oh yeah, I think we tweak this ever so slightly. How does that look? I don't know if I like the brown, actually. It's too much brown. Ultimately, I think it's too much brown. What if we grab the same color from the walls over here? From the plaster. Let's go ahead and copy this. I think that might look a little bit better. If not, it'll look better in place of the black here. So let's try that first. Yeah, definitely brightens it up, for sure. What about the base color, if we switch that around? That I'm not as crazy about. Well, let's do it in reverse. There we go. There we go. That's looking good. I really should have changed all the colors before I copied and pasted them all around, but that's okay. You live and you learn. And now with the habitat education boards in place, I think what we need next is going to be some speakers, but we're going to have to be careful about this because obviously we don't want the radius of these speakers to overlap. The guests don't really care for that when that happens. So this one is going to be Diamondback Terrapin. We'll mess with the size here in a minute. Now we can play with the range. I wanted to start in the middle so I could really figure out just how big we can actually go. I think 7 is going to be just about perfect. So let's go over here to this other speaker. Try to set it to 7. Just as long as they don't touch, dude. That's literally all it takes. It looks like in the center we're getting a little bit of overlap when the guests are walking like perfectly in between the two here. So for this center one, I'm just going to decrease that down to 6 so that doesn't happen anymore. Kind of, oh, see, and it's still happening. Okay, maybe we have to put them all down to 6 in that case. Yeah, you can see when they're like going through the center bit there. Since they're a little bit taller, I guess the sphere kind of goes around the speaker. That makes sense, I guess. Could also just lower the speaker, maybe that would fix it, but this is fine. You know what? This is fine. Oh, check this out, dude. Our newt has had bebe. This is our first bebe of the entire zoo. Check this out. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. That's not the offspring. That's the mom. Where's the offspring then? Oh, she had two bebe. She had two bebe. So we had a boy and a girl. Danube encrusted newt. Look at that. My girl right there. We got a gold star. The male, also a gold boy. A good old golden boy. This is great news, you guys. How small are they? Where's the, like, focus on this animal button? Here we go. I found him. I found him. Looks about the same size as the parents, if I'm being honest. But that's okay. They're a pretty small animal. So the only reason that we've only had any bebe is because this is the only exhibit that we put both a male and a female inside of. The other two in here are either just female or just male. Now, before I forget, the custom walls that I used previously, custom wall 3, this set I will be putting on the Steam Workshop. I'll also link that in the description of this video. If you guys want to use some of the custom walls that I've been using, have at it. But I must warn you, since they are custom walls, that means they don't act as a physical wall. So what you're going to have to do, or something along these lines anyways, this is just what I did, but we've got the barriers underneath of these walls. So if I just copy and drag this out, you'll kind of see I basically just flipped it upside down and put it in the ground. So you can't see them, but it does prevent all the guests from actually walking through the wall, which is nice. You know, you want it to look as realistic as possible. Now, some of you have probably noticed our broken solar panels out here, and the reason that they failed is because we don't have a certified mechanic to do routine maintenance to them. So what I'd like to do is actually sort of tweak this building a little bit. Some of the things in here just really can't have a permanent home in this building. So the keeper hut, that's out. Can't be having that. And then the staff resting facility, that is also out. Can't be having that. Oh, we're going to have to pause because our existing staff is going to be very unhappy with us. We can then start to remove the existing signage that we had with those. Doesn't look like we had anything for the staff room over there, so we're good. Now, the trade center, back to the heat maps. As of right now, the trade center has an extremely negative impact on guests because every single guest that comes in right now is going to our only exhibit, which means they're gonna pass directly by this trade center. The main idea here is to have the guests walk down this path in order to get to where they need to be. This is kind of like the crossroads of the zoo, if you get what I'm saying. So this path, not gonna be there. What I'm gonna do temporarily instead, so we can kind of experiment with this a little bit more, is just to quite simply bring out a temporary path this way so that we can get rid of this one. So now it does kind of seem a little bit mean, if I'm being honest, but the only way for the guests to get over to that exhibit now is to take the long trek down the boardwalk and walk all the way around. And now back to editing the main entrance over here. We're gonna rotate a workshop around, place it just behind this door. That should work out okay. Doesn't look like its window is clipping through. The unfortunate part about this is the workshop does have an interior, which is kind of nice. So it's going to be a little depressing for our first mechanic for a little while. The other facilities that we're going to need include a vet surgery and a quarantine. So I think those two I'm going to try to combine into one building, and then maybe the keeper hut and the staff resting facility into another. Those are going to be kind of temporarily placed right over where we had that initial path. And yeah, you know, even though these are going to be temporary, I do want to at least try to make them look pretty good. Eventually, I need to go through and make a set of custom walls that better line up with like the facility's existing windows and stuff. Like, for example, if I take this window that we made and drag it on over here to this building, that's fine, right? Except it doesn't at all line up with the existing like facility window. So I need to come up with a custom set that works for stuff like this. But for right now, what we're gonna do and it might look kind of interesting. I'm not really sure, but we're just gonna surround this in the custom walls we've already been working with, and we'll see what we're left with. Hopefully it looks all right. To tell you the truth, this actually looks pretty dang good. This is my first time actually utilizing the custom roof. You can see up at the top, we've got a few planks clipping through, but that's nothing a little tweak here and there can't fix. You know, I do really like the roof supports too that we've kind of got going on the underside. That's also a nice touch. Sweet, dude. I'm digging it. It's not until like you get around to the front you see the larger than life doors that we have, and you can kind of then tell that it's all a ruse. It's all a sham. It's not even a real building, but it's all good. So now that we have these created, we can kind of just drag them into position. I might drag it. I don't want to move it because I don't want to risk everything like getting all out of alignment height-wise. I think placing them in between the two facilities we've already created for right now is going to work. Again, it's not going to be a forever home, but we've got to get some of this stuff in place, you guys. Our zoo is actually struggling. Let's be real. So this, we're just going to bring out to there. That'll be fine for right now. And then this, same thing. We're just going to bring it straight out. And there we go. So these two new buildings aren't gonna get power. I guess they probably have power. Yeah, they do have power, but ultimately we still need to get these solar panels repaired. So we're gonna place down our very first mechanic, and he is gonna get right to it, hopefully. We're not gonna set up a work zone or anything because there really isn't all that much for him to take care of. Should be pretty obvious what needs to be done here. I think he's gonna make his way around to this one first. We'll go ahead and request him at this, so he at least starts to run to it. And while he's handling those, I want to try to mess around with this boardwalk a little bit. Spoiler, I'm not going to be placing any vegetation in this episode whatsoever, but I do want to just kind of experiment with the terrain elevation and see if we can't get a proper looking boardwalk out here. So first, I think I might actually have to remove our initial path. Let me try to lower the terrain, and we'll see what happens. So right around here, let's see if we can... Okay, as I thought, dude. As I thought, we kind of want to elevate the path before we actually adjust the terrain, if that makes any sense. So this existing path, though it does look nice, it's gotta go. We've got to start all over.
Many minutes later.
I think now I have the rough shape back again. It might not be as pretty this time around, though. Let's try to smooth out some of these corners. I think that usually helps quite a bit. So if you guys were unaware of this, if you have like a hard edge corner like this in your paths, if you just add a new path kind of in between, almost where that point is, and then promptly delete it after placing it, it kind of smooths out that edge, makes it look a little bit nicer. So there we go. Everything's nice and smoothed out. I'd say that that's pretty close to what we had initially. And now if we slide down underneath, you'll notice that the path is completely suspended in mid-air. So it's going to be up to us to actually put in the boardwalk sort of posts and things, but that is a job for another day. What I want to do next is just lower all the other terrain down to its lowest point. So all of this is going to be cleared out, made all nice and smooth, and then we'll probably, let's just follow the path. The path's like general area and everything, and just get all of this smoothed out. Eventually it'll look really good, you guys. I promise. I promise, I promise. Right now, it's just a matter of trying to get all the ideas that I have out and into the world. But that's looking pretty nice. I can already get a pretty good understanding of what it would look like if there were water in there, but let's just, for the sake of things, let's go ahead and try adding a bit of water in there. Oh, it's not going to work with the path. Right. Paths kind of obstruct water a decent bit, so it might actually, the terrain might actually have to be a little bit deeper than this. And the last thing that we really need to do today is hire a security guard. Go ahead and drop them down right there. And lastly, we need a vet. Now that we actually have a vet facility for them to do their job inside of, I think it's about time we hire one of them as well. And now we are officially set up and ready to take in those larger exhibit species when we're ready for that, you know, after we get that initial exhibit built. But things are looking really, really good here. Again, a lot of this stuff is kind of temporary. It's really just in place for me to start to get my ideas out there and start to figure out how we actually want to go about making the rest of this zoo. But I am absolutely loving taking my time on this thing. Hopefully you guys are as well. I think that's where we're going to wind down this episode at for today. So once again, if you guys did enjoy, please leave a like, leave a comment, help support the dream by smashing that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Peace.